Assalamu alaikum, conscious entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Sajdah Muhammad channel. This is the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talk episode on the importance of safety. So be sure to like, subscribe, and tell a friend, and we'll be back after this short messages.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks. And today we are talking about the importance of safety and raising our awareness around safety for us as individuals, but for us to understand the importance of safety as conscious entrepreneurs. Oftentimes we go into business and like I always say, we're mimicking a system and implementing business models that no longer work, business models that have interdependencies upon a system that has now become we now know is very predatory, very racist. And so we're talking about a new way of being, a new way of conducting ourselves, a more civilized way of being, with more different level of morals and ethical standards. I call it granular levels of morality. Um, and so safety is important. And I think oftentimes we forget about that as entrepreneurs in business. And so this morning, we are on the heels of a beautiful prayer service that we just had commemorating the 91st birth anniversary of our beloved father, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. What a beautiful prayer service we just had. Wow. Talk about providing safety. You know what's interesting about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is that he provides, if you really listen to his words and you really study him, he is the epitome of a builder and a developer on a level that a lot of people don't even think about. If you watch how he rebuilt the Nation of Islam, if you watch how he conducts himself in the face of controversy, in the face of drama, he never ever extorts people to violence or instructs people to become violent, not even angry. And if you've ever been blessed to be around him and work with him, he always takes the high road. You're talking about Michelle Obama talking about when they go low, we go high. A lot of us still got a lot of street or Negro in us, so we'll pop off. But he doesn't. He'll get anxious and fiery about what he's expressing, but I'm talking about in the face of death threats and in the face of unfair treatment. I remember the first time that I learned about how, firsthand witnessed how the press was manipulative, was when he did that very first Barbara Walters interview. I think that might have been in the 2000s, early 2000s, 90s. I don't know, but I was actually there. And I was there and I was listening, fly on the wall kind of thing. Not like there in the video, but there as a staff person way off in the corner. And I remember just listening. I remember hearing every word. I remember watching her and the interview and all of that. And when they edited that thing, they made it look like it was something totally different than what it was. But he just takes the high road. And he manifests in the face of controversy, with you guys hear me always talking about. It's just an example of that. And so I'm grateful to be living in this day and time and to have him as an example. He doesn't discriminate against people. It doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter what your color is. If you can be a fly on the wall outside of his house or outside of his office and see the eclectic people that come there for support and counseling, and he's not going to support you in your negativity and tell you, yeah, keep doing what you do, keep being ratchet. He's going to guide you. and love you. I mean, just the epitome of beauty. And so I just wanted to put that out here today and to just thank him for being that example, um, despite the propaganda that's out here. It's really, really sad because the world can really, really use the example of someone like him. He's not a hater. He is truly a lover of people. Um, so when we talk about safety, I think it's interesting that I got the download for this topic on the day of his birth anniversary, um, because safety is what he provides for us. He's a safe space, um, especially if you get on his shoulders and don't get off. um, so I didn't even say my name for those of y'all who don't know me. I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. I'm an international business and real estate professional. I'm an artist, and you always hear me say that business is my canvas because I hate the way we feel compelled to define ourselves by what we've accomplished. It just kind of keeps us in the past. I prefer to define myself by who I am now and what I'm striving for and what I've become and the work that I'm doing to just become a powerful manifester and be in the image and likeness of God. So I picked this topic based on a conversation that I got to tell y'all about. I was having with a friend of mine from Africa. And he's always telling me, when are you moving to Africa? When you need to just move, get up out of there. Because, of course, there's differences in media, right? And so we always, like, if I hear something about something that's going on in certain parts of Africa, I'll send it to them and say, hey, y'all, is this true? And they'll say yay or nay, or yes, but, or sometimes it'll be off, like it'll be something to say, no, that happened 6 months ago. And vice versa. They'll say, hey, is this going on? Because the media and the news are so propaganda driven that it's difficult to tell what's true. And so we do that a lot. We talk about and share information. And so they kind of went on a rant and was like, you all there in America, while you're there in America, you all never are safe. And as he's talking, it's interesting because, and I'm normally not like this. Normally when I talk to people, I have primarily broken myself of the habit of listening to respond or kind of being in defense, with one foot in front of the other, like I'm waiting, to say something. I'll cut in if I see somebody make a mistake, or I'll say, oh, you know what, let me say this real quick, but I'm not that, I broke myself of that habit. But this time when he was talking, I had one foot in front of the other, like, no, but wait. So he was like, y'all don't, he's like, so we had this conversation about how Black people in America, we are the most Black conscious people in the world. That's not to be disputed. Okay. You've got so many Black conscious world leaders that have come out of our community here in the diaspora. And we, in fact, are the most conscious Black people. What does that mean? There's groups of us that are very supportive of other Black people. We're not about hating on each other. There's so many movements that have come out of our culture, primarily because of, no, I can't even say it's because of the trauma and the trials that we've experienced, because Black people have experienced trauma and trials around the world. But, we are the family of the Messiah. There's really no other way to put it. And so out of us have been born a lot of very, very Black conscious leaders. And so we were talking about how oftentimes on the continent of Africa, when we go there, we get really shocked and confused, right? Because we are thinking that they're going to be as Black conscious as we are. When in fact, a lot of them want to be British or want to be French. And so you'll see kind of that persona, pop up. And so some of our, Black Power stuff, they don't connect to, for one, primarily because they're in an all Black environment. And so some of the systemic racism and colonization that they experience is not necessarily as obvious from a boots on the ground standpoint as ours. So we were having that conversation, right? And so we started talking about how we can come together as a people and how we have to bridge the gap, and we have to take responsibility for trying to figure out how to mend our relationship that has been severed as a result of slavery. And so there's wounds there, there's engrams there, there's all this stuff there. And so we talked about just, working on this collective healing. And he went on, and so I was cool, and then he went on to say, but you all can't even think straight because you're not safe. You aren't safe emotionally because something's always happening to one of you all that can pop up on the news and mess your brain up. He started talking about, he went back to Trayvon Martin, went back to Emmett Till. He said, that's just the stuff that's come across the news. And now more recently, how with the news, how it just keeps showing these traumatic things over and over again. And so you guys don't emotionally ever feel safe. You're always dealing with somebody coming after you, attacking you. You got to go downtown and worry about somebody not wanting to treat you right because you're Black or can't get a job. And so now he's kind of ranting, and I'm putting one foot in front of each other going, wait, trying to figure out how I can cut in, right? And then he said, the emotion and physical safety is an issue. You're always looking over your shoulder. You can't financially feel safe. Your property's not safe. Y'all got all kind of locks and bolts on your doors, and you're worried if you live in a white neighborhood, if the white people gonna get you, if you live in a Black neighborhood, if it's gonna be your own brothers and sisters that's gonna get you. He said, y'all don't know if your car gonna be safe. I mean, he started ranting. He says, so it's gonna be very difficult for you all to be able to focus on repairing your relationship with us until you feel safe. I was like, damn. It was just deep to me. And he said, and until you all feel safe in the words that you say that you believe in, whether it be Martin Luther King or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he said, those words don't make y'all feel safe enough to be able to focus on repairing a relationship with us. And I said, well, what do you propose? He said, I propose that we build relationships. It's going to have to be marriages. You guys are going to have to move here or have homes here where you can come and experience safety and understand what that is so that you can begin to work on that relationship. He said, and then you guys got to take straight up conscious effort and take responsibility for making yourselves feel safe. And I said, well, how do we do that when, like you're saying, we're always watching over our shoulder, we're always being attacked? He said, well, y'all believe in God, don't you? So he was getting me, right? And I thought, okay. And I said, all right, let's think about this. I thought about you all as conscious entrepreneurs, building businesses, trying to build an economy, doing for self. Doing for self is an act of taking responsibility for your safety, whether it's educational, doing for self, whether it's emotional, doing for self. There's all this doing for self that is important. But then I said, what if as conscious entrepreneurs, as we building our businesses and doing for self, if we begin to say, you know what, let's take responsibility as business owners for safety in our own little micro cosmic circles. Obviously, we can't necessarily deal with safety, the larger part of safety, but let's take it in small chunks. And I thought about that and I said, because I get what he's saying. It's not all safe in Africa. I kind of I made that argument. I said, y'all got armed security at the gated community you live in, and things happen to people. He said, yeah, even with that, we don't have the sense of feeling unsafe on a 360-degree level that you all have it on. He said, yeah, we do have to have security. We do have corruption. We have these issues, but we have moments and breakthrough moments where we feel safe. He said, but there in America, he said, even when I'm there, there's not a moment when I don't feel like I got to be careful. My nerves are bad. He said, but you all live with that nervous condition, and that nervous condition has literally like altered your DNA, and it's part of who you are. And I was like, okay. So I thought, all right, let's talk about this today. All right, what is safety? And what is he referring to? Here's a basic definition of safety. Safety is the condition of being protected from or unlikely to cause danger, risk, or injury. When I thought about that and I tied it to the economic dependency ratio that most of these economic models are built on, and these dependency ratios meaning that an economy is more robust and successful if the people have less dependence. So there's a unwritten encouragement in the world that we live in, not theirs, but ours. It's there too, but especially in ours, that the more successful you are, the more individual you have to be. And this is really prominent in minority communities where in order to make it, we have to have less children, we have to have less people dependent upon us. Many of us are rugged individuals. We have a lot of Black females who are individually living and thriving and moving. They're doing well, but by ourselves. And so safety becomes a concern because you don't have the strength in numbers to protect you, right? If somebody's going to do something, if they see that you're by yourself, then that makes you an easy target. Y'all watch the Animal Channel. You see the herd running, that little one animal, that little deer or antelope that veers off by themselves or can't keep up with the crowd or get caught alone ends up being prey for the animal eaters. So that's what's happening, right, in our society. And so we tend to practice this rugged individualism because it allows us to have more money to ourselves. People don't have to deal with the drama. Then when you add all the other emotional stuff in there, where people begin to isolate themselves because folks start acting crazy. I did a show where I said, we have to be the only people in the world where our success causes psychosis in our people. I mean, people who literally, if you got a nice house, they will see your house and go. And if your house is better than theirs or better than what they think you should have, they will go crazy. They'll be mad at you. If you have a downfall or a challenge, instead of somebody coming to you and wrapping their arms around you, it's, I knew it. And then there's all this conversation. Yeah, you see, this is what happened. And there's all this negativity. So people feel isolated and they don't want to share what they're going through. So there's all these behaviors that we practice as a community that makes us as individuals feel unsafe? Let me know in the chat. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you understand what I'm talking about. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says to us, no gossip, no slack talk, no wanton criticism or excess criticism of everything Black. Some of the other behavioral traits that he taught us that we needed to give up are traits that lead to our feeling of being unsafe, the feeling of not being protected, the feeling of being in danger, being at risk, being injured. It's why so many of us have mental health issues. A lot of it is this behavior, this rugged individualism behavior that is practiced. And when I say rugged individualism, I'm not just saying, okay, let me go over here and buy myself a condo so I can secure my living and I live by myself because I'm talking about rugged individualism where people around you are negative towards you, poking fun at you, talking about you, competitive towards you, treating you a certain way because you're successful, which causes you to have to isolate. So you have people that have family members that they can't really share the goodness or the successes in their life with because of this concept of rugged individualism. And so a lot of that is some of what he's talking about. And we're talking about not feeling safe here in America. Because even though obviously they have crime, they have corruption, they have a bigger community, even if it's your micro community, your family, your circle, your people you work with, where there's a little bit more loyalty. There's a little bit more support. If somebody gets in trouble, they have somebody that will come to them. But we choose individualism so that we can have money. We rather be by ourselves and have money than to make the choice to say, you know what, I want to be with my family or friends and just share some love on this day or that day or period. I'd rather just have money. So I'd rather just go off by myself, have my money and be good. That's because of the focus that this type of economy we live in puts on money. And so they're trying to work on that They're trying to work towards that on the continent of Africa, because I was watching a study, I think when I was working on preparing for our show last Thursday, where they're saying, well, okay, Africans need to start having less children so that they have less dependents. And then what that does is the economic indicators will then rise and then they believe will drive the GDP. And so we go as far as even with the elderly. In some countries, when a person gets older, the family supports the elderly person. But what we do is, because we live in a world that says you got to have less dependence, when that person gets older, we put them away, put them somewhere. Even in Asian communities, now they've done it a little bit better. So for example, in Japan, they have these communities where when a person gets older, they get paired with another family, even if they're living somewhere else. But they practice this concept of low economic dependency. I don't know if you all have seen where sometimes they'll say, well, in China, you only can have one child or two children and things like that. Now, I'm not talking about people who practice reckless, just having babies all over the place and being irresponsible for it. I'm not talking about that. Okay. I think you all get the point. So anyway, safety is the condition of being protected from or unlikely to cause danger, risk, or injury. And even in our businesses, we have to make sure that our employees, our staff, feel safe when they come to work for us. They should feel safe on a number of different levels. And we're going to talk about that. When a person feels safe, they open up the potential to perform at their highest level. So when I started researching through different psychology journals, what he was saying was, when he said, you all can't possibly focus on healing your relationship with us here in Africa, and we can't focus on healing our relationship with you all until you all get yourself to a point where you have some relief from the danger you're constantly in. And I was like, ain't nobody in no danger. You should have seen me try to defend it. But I got it. I got it. And so when I read this and it said, when a person feels safe, they open up the potential to perform at their highest level. Part of what's holding a lot of us back is the fact that we just don't feel safe. We are opting for safety. We don't take risks because we're worried, we're concerned, we're nervous, right? And just to think how great we are, how many of us, how successful have we been despite operating where there's constant threats against us? And then I learned that when we're challenged by threat, our bodies shift into a defensive state to deal with the perceived danger. We've talked about that a lot on this channel, how living in the state of fight or flight is not something that's meant to be a long-term condition. Okay? You're supposed to go into fight or flight when you're in danger so that you can run and think quick and get away. You're not supposed to live in that condition, which is why a lot of us suffer from high blood pressure and organ failures and things like that, because we're in that constant state of insecurity. So a lot of us, this is why we tend to be very spiritual as a people over here. And a lot of it is because we're looking for some relief from this threat, this danger. And so we're saying, look, there's got to be a way out of this. There's got to be a power that's greater than this force that I'm facing. And so we tend to become very religious and very spiritual, right or wrong, depending on what you think. I personally think that we're right to become more deeper spiritually. But this is what it tends to drive us to. And oftentimes people manipulate that because they know that there's an underlying force of fear that drives many of us. When faced with adversity, one can get locked in a mobilized threat response that limits the ability to perform at one's best. So oftentimes when you're faced with adversity, and a lot of times the adversity that we face, we do better when the adversity is towards a system or white people or maybe people we don't know. But when we face adversity within our own families, within our own communities, many of us are locked in a mobilized threat response that limits our ability to perform at our best, limits our ability to communicate, limits our ability to love, limits our ability to provide a safe space for someone else. A lot of us do for self. We open up these businesses, but we don't even like our employees. We don't even want you coming in there, really, to be honest with you. So we treat you like a servant or a slave. It's interesting stuff. We're just raising awareness today. And I also want you to think about several different types of slavery, right? Not slavery, safety. You know what? It is like a form of slavery, right? You become a slave to the danger. And when you see that when they're able to take away our rights, they do it based on fear. Interesting, right? Fear of what? Losing your safe space. And those of us, this goes back into this dependency ratio. When we're educated to be the smart person, to check all the boxes, to get everything right, we're told you're going to be safe if you follow the rules, if you do everything right, if you keep your desk clean, you get good grades, you do everything you're told in school, and then that becomes your mojo. And so what happens? You get emotional safety from that, right? That's one of the forms of safety we're talking about. You get emotional safety from being the smart person. I call it the smart girl syndrome, because the smart girls don't really go out and be extra creative, tend to just kind of be safe, stay in a box, kind of live day to day the way somebody taught us to live back when we were 5 or 6 years old, when we first got the concept of seeing the world through the eyes of the way others see us. And when people see you as the smart child, the one who gets the good grades, you tend to see the world through that lens. And that becomes your safe space. Huh? And so then you grow up and you want more. You want to be an inventor. You want to be a billionaire. You want to do all these things. You want to attract all this business, but you can't break out of that mode that somebody hypnotized you and put you in when you were a little girl that told you, behave like this and you will get safety. It's deep. So you almost got to re-hypnotize yourself, because here's the thing. Most people who are inventors, most people who do really well in business are the people who were behaviorally challenged when they were growing up. The people who might have been diagnosed as ADHD or rode the short bus, as we like to say. Those oftentimes tend to be the people who make it in business, believe it or not. And then what do? They employ the smart people like us to do the work. And so when you've been hypnotized in that kind of way, and you go into a business that is very systemic, it becomes very difficult for you to break outside of that, because you define your safety by what you were told will make you safe. And usually it's be a good student, get good grades, go to school, graduate. But a lot of the greatest people in the world are people who did not check all those boxes growing up. Interesting, right? Some of the most impactful people right now in our modern day culture are people who did not check all of those boxes growing up. Something to study there. And it's something for us to learn to unravel in ourselves. Okay. So physical safety is very, very, very critical and important. Let me go to the chat here real quick, because I saw a couple questions. Alichi Muhammad said, can emotional safety be the cause of accelerated anxiety? Exactly. That's exactly right. So we live with this accelerated but constantly escalating level of anxiety, and it causes mental health issues, causes our nerves to be bad. We can't focus. We can't concentrate. It's why a lot of people have addictive personalities, because you're looking for some form of relief. Where can I go to feel safe? I see Sister Cynthia say a form of self-protection, toxic at times. Saying that's Cynthia M. I see Sandra D in the chat said there's not the practice of love thy neighbor as thyself, or to not bear false witness against thy neighbor. That's exactly right. Sister Monica gave a thumbs up. Mom gave a thumbs up. Tamika says she definitely understands. Brother Lamont is here. I saw Brother Lamont say he was on the road, but he had the ear. I see Sister Betty in the chat. Sister Monica says, yes, he gives us a masterful blueprint for our lives, and says she's talking about the minister. Let's see. All right. So I just wanted to make sure there were no lingering questions before I move on. Let's talk about let's talk about types of safety: emotional safety, physical safety, and financial safety. Emotional safety. I was in a journal and I found this quote. So I would say, I believe that emotional safety is the ability to feel like you can be yourself in the presence of others who value you, accept you, and believe in you. You know how good it feels when you're around people where you can just be yourself? When you can be yourself, this can create a foundation of vulnerability. So there's a psychologist who wrote an article in Psychology Today named James Hausman, who said, emotional safety comes from within us. It is the knowing of what we're feeling, the ability to be able to identify our feelings and then take the ultimate risk of feeling them. To me, what he's pointing to is emotional intelligence. And we talk about that a lot on this show. We talk about toggling between our spiritual practices and our emotional intelligence practices, and how to use our emotions to help us, to guide us, and understand how our emotions have been our body's deployment weapons against the accelerated anxiety or the constant lack of safety that we oftentimes feel. A lot of diseases that we have are because we're living in this type of toxic, unsafe world. And so what we're talking about is we got to find a way to hack our minds and turn this around. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to be on this hamster wheel. Then we're talking about physical safety. Physical safety is big, especially in this economic world that we live in. Okay. In business, we got to understand the importance of providing physical safety at the workplace. Physical safety and psychological safety are interconnected aspects of workplace well-being, and addressing both is essential for creating a comprehensive approach to employee health and satisfaction. Okay. Physical safety focuses on protecting individuals from things like workplace hazards and accidents and theft and somebody running up in the business doing something to them. But then psychological safety centers around creating an environment where individuals feel safe to be themselves and express their thoughts and ideas without fear of negative consequences. This is why sending your children to schools like Muhammad University of Islam, for example, can help them grow up without that constant fear of feeling unsafe. They may have to leave their school environment and go into an environment where they still feel unsafe. But for that period of time that they're at school, there's a relief. And if you have all you're looking for is a little relief. All you need is what? A second or two. If your brain travels, your thoughts travel at the rate of 24 billion miles per second, if you get you an hour or so a day where you feel safe, whether you accomplish that through prayers, through meditation, through being with a loved one, through talking to a loved one, to watching a podcast, whatever it is that you do, if you can get that little block of time where some of that insecurity can be dissolved and you can really focus on what you want, you can start the process of changing your life even faster. So providing safe environments when our staff comes to work is not only going to help our businesses, but it's going to help them in their lives as well. And you all know, as conscious entrepreneurs, we're about the holistic approach. It's not about let me just get money. Okay, let me risk the safety of somebody else so that I can get money, so I can get products or services. That's not how we roll as conscious entrepreneurs. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was telling them that there are certain supply chain systems around the world, I won't be specific, that I don't believe in and I don't mess with. I've traveled around the world and watched how some countries do business. And I don't want to create a product or service that's heavily dependent on people who are punishing other people to produce a product or service that then I get over here in the States and I use to make money off of. See, it's just perpetuating the cycle. So even when we were building the hospital in Maryland, because we knew that we were getting so many threats, because there was so many systemic issues and people who represented systems who had a big problem with independent Black people opening up an independent healthcare facility. So the death threats were real. I get death threats because of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House, but I'm talking about death threats from opening a hospital or opening a clinic. Real talk. And so we started to make sure that we had security, making sure that people felt safe when they came to work there. You know, you see all this workplace drama and harassment going on. We have to be conscious, as conscious entrepreneurs, as those doing for self, as those striving to help usher in a new way of being, new business models, new civilized society, that we provide a safe environment, whether it's on our board. Don't let people attack other people in board meetings. Stop watching the Real Housewives and all these other channels where folks are fighting in meetings and throwing stuff. Stop looking at that and thinking that it's cute to mimic that. Don't let people work in your environment who are constantly putting other people in danger. Stop letting people work in your environment who are harassing other people. Stop allowing managers, I don't care how good they are, to work for you who are abusing your staff. See, a lot of times, again, going back to rugged individualism, we'll let that individual who is a menace to the company cause a cancer that permeates in the organization, and we just dress it up because we're making money. We dress it up, make it look good. And so you come into that environment and you put all this propaganda around it. You make people want to work there. You make people want to be a part of your company, when at the end of the day, there's a toxicity. There's a toxicity. I literally would get depressed when I would find out that there was an employee abusing somebody or doing something to somebody in an environment. And anybody can tell you that if you work with me or for me, I'm going to be doing everything I can to protect your safety. And anything that happens where you feel unsafe is because I don't know about it. And maybe you just didn't tell me. But if you tell me about it, I'm going to come in and fight for you and try to make sure that you're safe. And so this is a big thing that we have to start thinking about. Don't let managers and other employees bully and abuse other people. Don't set up meetings and events where people are fighting and throwing drinks at one another. We ain't got time to be beefing, y'all. We got a whole system out here taking away books that mention our history. We have a whole system out here unpersoning our heroes and repersoning us. And they're doing it with automation. We don't have time to beef. Somebody start a beef with you. Of course, you may have to do what you got to do to back that savage up off of you. But find a way to promote and demonstrate and show some form of unity to the extent that you can. We don't have time to be beefing. And don't let this enemy that makes money off of us cause us to just be up here beefing that they just continue to capitalize off of. Let me tell y'all a quick secret before I'm going to just talk about financial safety first, but let me tell y'all a quick secret. The key thing in certain communities is to make sure that you have passive income. You all have seen that, right? Where you make money in your sleep. Where you could be somewhere on a yacht, on a boat, playing golf, and you got a business or some kind of economic engine or machine that makes money. And I hear a lot of financial coaches and stuff, they teach that. And ideally and theoretically, that's good. Makes sense, right? Of course, as I'm sitting here talking to y'all, I want some assets that are making money while I'm doing something else. Makes good sense. But the part that they forget to tell you, that maybe they don't even know, that the majority of these communities that practice this, that live like this, that have the benefit of this, are making money in entertainment and off of culture and hospitality that is on our backs. So you ought to know that, because if I'm in a certain community and I can sign your child as an artist or as an athlete and put them out there on the court or on the field and have them making money, and I own a percentage of what they produce, I own a percentage of their publishing, a percentage of their creative, then while they're out there performing and creating and doing what they're doing, I'm over here on a boat in Monte Carlo making money off of what they're doing over here. The most lucrative form of that passive income model is in entertainment, sports, and history and culture. And who are the leaders and creators of entertainment, sports, and create? Who the worker bees in that industry? It's us. So this is why there's such a big push to control us. Yes, passive income is the way to go. See, they telling you and I, well, if you become a part of this scheme or this multi-level, blah, 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 you're going to get passive income. But they get passive income off of me and your children's, off of our creative. And then guess what? When your child dies or when you die, who gets the publishing? Who gets the royalties? Who gets the revenue off of your name, your image, and your likeness? Those people getting that passive income on the boat over there in the seashells somewhere. So that passive income model, you got to understand who is the one that's supporting the truth of that passive income model, and it's you and I. And it's been that way for 400 and some plus years. So understand, and I'm going to give you another example, one more example. I had somebody say to me, we were talking about preserving history and culture. And I said, I really take issue with the fact that most of our history, most of our culture as Black people, we don't own the distribution of it. We don't own the mechanisms to tell the story, and we don't make money off of it. And somebody else makes passive income off of it. And I just think that that's wrong, because if a person dedicates their life, okay, to a particular community, then somebody or somebodies from that community should be benefiting off of what they did in this life, not somebody else. And then when those of us as individuals decide we want to do preservation, we decide we want to open museums, it's not supported. See, part of that is our fault. When I travel around the country and I make it a point to go to Black museums and places where Black people are preserving our history. That's because I'm a Black woman and that's of special interest to me. And I go to other cultural museums, but I make it a point to go to Black art galleries and Black spaces that preserve our history. And oftentimes you got one or two Black people who own it and they in there by themselves. It's not crowded. It's not packed. So when you start hearing people talking about passive income, think about it. Why can't we make passive income revenue off of our own culture? Why can't we create the systems and the processes, especially now with the internet and social media and the technology that's out here? I won't even say social media, but the technology that's out here where we can build infrastructure so that we can make our own levels of passive income. That's why we've been working on putting our history on the blockchain. It's important. That's a whole nother show. But anyway, then let's talk real quick about financial safety and we're going to get out of here. I think y'all get the point. Financial security. Okay. We talk about that all the time. You hear this, get you some passive income, save your money, get insurance. But then there's also what my friend was talking about, where when we have assets, when we have finances, we have to deal with the worry that somebody's going to take it from us, that somebody's always coming after us, trying to take our stuff, trying to, as soon as they get mad at us, it's like, well, I'm going to take what you got. Soon as we get into it with somebody, it could be a dispute over a contract. It's okay. I'm mad at you. I'm about to sue you for what you got. And so we're constantly, and that's a very American thing. It's not just a Black thing. But again, if America catches the cold, Black America catches a flu. So if the general population has to deal with that, imagine how we have to deal with it. Oh, thank you, Professor X. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Excuse me. All right, Brother Alichi said, allow no one to commit a nuisance on or near your post. That's right. That's from our general orders. That's exactly right. Anyway, I think y'all get the point. I think y'all get the point of the conversation that I was having with my friend. I think you get the point of, excuse me, I put cayenne in my chai and it's been sitting right at the back of my throat ever since I took the first sip at the beginning of the show. And then I think it started to trickle down a little bit and now it's getting to me, but it'll be all right. It'll melt in a few, dissolve in a few. Anyway, I think you all get the point of what I'm trying to say and what I am wanting us to focus on, because, and let me look, anybody who's listening to this who's not Black, don't get offended, because in loving ourselves, there's so much propaganda that you all think that if we love ourselves that we're hating on you. That is not the case. We're trying to be better people. We're trying to be more civilized people. We're trying to be better to ourselves. We're trying to treat ourselves in a better way. We're trying to move with a level of understanding where our actions and our words and our deeds have consequences. We're really, really trying to live a high level and a high vibrational life. It has nothing to do with hating you. You all know that most of us as Black people, we are so past all of that. We ain't got time for that. We trying to come up. We trying to live. We trying to be successful. We trying to make sure that we are navigating through what's facing America. We want to be the winners. We want to be the survivors, and we want to do it on another level, on a level that's higher than what we've ever done it before. And so, yeah, we're going to have some partnerships with people who don't look like us. Of course, we're okay with that. So let us focus on our healing. Let us focus on loving ourselves, because we've been so many years where we just have not loved ourselves. We just have not accepted who we are. We just have not created safe environments for one another to be in community with one another, because we literally have been so busy competing for your attention. It goes back to when we were on the plantation. We were treated like children. In many cases, we had the mentality like a child. We're all competing for the master or daddy's attention or mama's attention. And so there's infighting. We're criticizing each other. We're focusing on our differences. And this was part of the mentality that was bred into us in order to make us good slaves. So you got to let us work on ourselves. Let us have some pride in who we are. It's nothing wrong. I'm going to say this. I'm so tired of people encouraging Black people not to live nice. Now, should we be living way above our means? No. But there is nothing wrong with wearing nice clothes, having a nice car, looking good, smelling good. You need that today in a world where we're always being beat down. We're always being told that we don't look good enough. We're constantly altering our body because we don't feel right. We don't feel good. There's nothing wrong with that. And let me tell you something, you financial services people out here, you're not going to eradicate that from Black behavior. So stop talking about it. Should we be buying Gucci and Louis Vuitton with our money that we got during the pandemic? No, we shouldn't. Should we be buying all this designer stuff if we ain't got but $500 in the bank? Should we be going out spending $3,500 on designer stuff? No. So there's some correction there that needs to happen, but you're not going to stop us from looking good, smelling good, and riding nice. So you may as well try to stop. I can't stand us talking about, well, rich people, and some of us say white people act like they're rich, but white people act like they're poor, or rich people act like they're poor, and Black people or poor people act like they're rich. We interchange the two. Some of y'all saying that ain't got no white friends and you ain't got no rich friends. So you don't know how they act. I got white friends that are just as designer driven as Black people. Some of them have the means and some of them don't. I got white friends and white people that I know who live in nice houses and they in the same economic condition as us. I know people who are wealthy, and while they might not have a lot of flair, some of them ain't fly. When you look at them little ugly shoes they got on, they might be $2,000 shoes. They may have on a $3,000 shirt. It may not look like nothing to you. So you think they looking poor. But stop with that. Stop saying that. Because like I said, some of y'all ain't got no white friends and no rich friends. You don't know how they live or what they look like. And we have this thing as Black people where we just assume when we see somebody white, we assume they rich. We assume they in authority, they the police or they something. No, they just regular people like you and I. They just live with a certain level of privilege that unfortunately maybe we just don't live with. But stop acting like that. Stop doing that. And yeah, we got to stop that. Stop saying that. Because that's part of that Black and white, this or that colonialist type of thinking that I can't stand. Do you like Malcolm or Martin? Make a choice. You like Booker T or W.E. Du Bois? You like Tupac or Biggie? Is it LeBron or Michael Jordan? Is it Shannon Sharp or Shaquille O'Neal? It's just dumb. Why can't you just like all of them? Why can't you learn how to extract the truth from whomever it is that you're inspired by and create your own individual platform? Why are you always choosing me to make a choice? Why do I got to denounce somebody to make you happy? And we fall right into that. Well, if you was white and you was rich, you'd be dressing like this. But because you're Black and you're poor, you dress like that. You don't know. Black people are not a monolith. I laugh all the time. Let me tell y'all something. I grew up in Nebraska. I went to all white schools all my life. And so when I hear Black people from Chicago or DC, Philly, places where you know they're not talking like a Valley girl. When I hear them talking like a Valley girl, I go, come on, sis. Come on, brother. If I grew up like this and went to college in Iowa and then went into corporate America, I started rolling with my peeps when I came in the nation. If I don't talk like that, why are you talking like that? Just stop. Stop with all this. It's a myth. It's a myth. It's myths that we keep portraying. Okay, let me go. I know it's time. Sister Monica says, I believe when we trust one another and unite, we can create systems within our community that promotes passive and developmental resources. That's exactly right, Sister Monica. And here's the thing. Unity don't necessarily mean all of us. Find you a community of people, and y'all can unite around an idea, unite around concepts, unite around a mission, unite around a purpose. It could just be uniting around loving and supporting one another. I have a group of conscious entrepreneurs. We're close to each other, and we sometimes just send each other messages. Hey, sending you good energy today. In the group, they know I do that often. I'll send a note to everybody and say, hey, sending you good energy today. Or we'll say, hey, how's it going? We may not have the money to bail each other out of our situations or whatever, but there's support and love there. And that goes a long way. And it doesn't have to be all of us. So you don't have to think. I think sometimes we give up on unity and we become pessimistic because we think, well, you ain't gonna never get all Black people to unite. I beg to differ, because guess what? We was way more united in the 40s and 50s. We were so united after the abolition of slavery that we built Wall Streets, or what we call Black Wall Streets, and a Black economic infrastructure all around the United States of America. Because that hatred and those whips and chains and all that stuff on your backside made you become unified. So I wouldn't say never. And let's hope it don't come to that. But let's start with our own little microcosms of unity that we can create, and then let that love spread. It doesn't take all of us. It didn't take all the white people in the world to come here to the United States to set up America. We gotta get out of this black and white thinking. And Tamika said, yes, healing and love of ourselves is an absolute necessity for our community and ourselves. Yeah, let's start with what we can control. I can control myself. I can control and make sure that I'm not being other than myself. This is all I can control right here. So if I focus on myself, if I focus on loving myself, if I focus on how I show up in the world, one of my own personal goals is to be an asset to anybody that I interact with. Even if I'm interacting with you and I'm the customer, I at least want you to walk away and go, I felt good interacting with her. I like her. I like working with her. I like doing business with her. Even if you say, well, I don't like Black people, or I don't like women, or I don't like Muslims, you won't be able to walk away and say that I was unpleasant. And if you act other than what you should be acting in that situation, I'm going to check you and I'm going to teach you at the same time. So it's always taking responsibility. Since we have to heal to properly handle ourselves, we got to heal here internally. Don't worry about nobody else healing. Let's heal here. What are we doing every day that we know we could do better? What are we doing that demonstrates our lack of love for ourselves? How many times did you lie this week? How many times did you steal this week? How many times did you gossip this week? How many times did you have negative self-talk towards yourself this week? How many times did you not get up and do what you were supposed to do this week that you know you should have got up and did what you were supposed to do? How many times? How many times did you neglect yourself and not love yourself? So let's start there. All right, let's start there. All right, Brother Lamont says, enjoy your weekend. Yes, everybody enjoy your weekend. Brother Leach says, I like Larry Bird. Yeah. Coach Sherry Babette said, you don't talk white. I know I don't talk white. And I grew up around white people. Okay. But so I'm not talking white. I talk like me. And if you talk like me, that's fine. But don't create this accent and start talking a certain way when you know that ain't you. You just code switching. Anyway, y'all, make sure you like and subscribe. If you got anything from today, if this raised your awareness, please give a love offering. You see the Cash App here. Go to Sajdah Enterprises on Cash App. Give a love offering. Something, $2, $5, $10, $100, $200. I think the max is $2,000. But give a love offering, and let's begin to support channels and networks like this that give you access to high vibrational conversations and discussions that can help us all go to that next level and give us a relief from people who are not doing the same. We'll say it that way. All right, family, peace and blessings. Happy birth anniversary to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He wants today and this holy day that we developed in the Nation of Islam that celebrates his birth anniversary. I think you all probably heard Minister Ishmael say on the prayer this morning to be a day of service. Okay, so go out, feed somebody, love somebody, hold the door open for somebody. Do what you can today to be of service to someone else. All right. Okay. Peace and blessings, family. May Allah bless you, bless you, bless you. Like, subscribe, and share. Y'all know this may not go viral. So like, subscribe, and share. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's show. Thank you, Brother Ronald. Liche gave us clapping of hands. All right. Thumbs up, share, tell somebody, appreciate the hearts. Love you all. And I want you to take this in. I'm wishing you peace. I'm wishing you love. I want you to be happier. I want you to be healthier. I want you to be wealthier. I want you to experience more love. I want you to be in alignment with what you showed up on the planet to do. I want you to be in alignment with Almighty God or whatever name you refer to that higher power outside of yourself. And I wish you nothing but peace and blessings. And I thank you and I love each and every one of you for your continued support and for supporting the platform. All right. Peace and blessings. And don't forget, our commemorative Elijah coins are still available. So you can give a love offering or you can get you a commemorative Elijah coin. And we'll talk a little bit more about what's next for the completion of the renovation of the home of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Remember, history matters, preservation matters. It's time for us to own and monetize our own authenticity. Peace.